To start this look, you do want to have your base makeup done, whether you go full glam or just add red lipstick, but it's a great opportunity to do crazy lashes and really dramatic glam makeup with this then simplistic but really impactful glam skull. Whether you're doing this on yourself or a client, you want to decide what's the best side of the face to do this look on. How is it going to wear through the night? My hair falls over my face on the right side, and the left side is more exposed. So I'm going to do this design on the left side so that you can see all the hard work that I've done and it doesn't just get hidden up by hair. This could be very different depending on what your client's hair is like or even what their facial features are like. So always assess the situation when you're going into painting someone. Okay, now for the fun part. Go ahead and spray a sponge and load up your favorite black. I love Fusion Black, Diamond Effects, Wolf. There's a lot of great blacks out there. I'm using BAM Stencil 2004. This is one of my all-time favorites. I absolutely love this stencil, and I'm just going to pick one section of the stencil and I'm going to repeat it going around my eye, keeping it very close to the socket of my eye. This can be difficult to do when you already have makeup on. My eyelashes continue to stick together, but I think it's a lot easier to do on someone else than it is yourself. Regardless, you might just have to keep kind of pushing your lashes back up because you're going to be pressing them down, especially if they have mascara on them. But I'm just rotating that stencil around because I want this to have kind of a glam sugar skull look. So the same place I would paint in the eye socket on any skull is where I am placing this stencil. If you are doing this on a client, please advise them to keep their eyes shut. Obviously, I can't do that while painting myself and I'm making a mess out of my hands as well. So you can see I smeared it just a little bit by opening my eye too quickly. If you know this is going to happen, just keep your eye shut or have your clients keep their eye shut. But in the end, it's not a big deal. You can really barely tell by the time I'm completely done with this. Now I also want a little bit of the design to go on the inner socket of the eye and above where my crease is. So I have pretty hooded eyes. So when my eye is open, you can see the design is pretty much lost, and I don't want it to be completely lost. I want that circular shape to be going all around my eyes. So I'm just going to tap a little bit more on the bridge of my eye so that it's extended up a little bit and the illusion isn't getting lost. Now I want to make sure to fill in that corner of the inner eye as well. So I'm just going to continue to load up my sponge and rotate my stencil so that I'm getting the design placed where I want it to be. Keep in mind, as always, when working with sponges and stencils, you want tacky, sticky paint, nothing too wet, or it's just going to turn into a blob underneath your stencil, and you're not going to have that nice, sharp stencil design that you want. So I'm just going to continue to go around this and just continue to add little details to enhance the shape that I want in the end. I do think you could do this with powders, but you're going to get a much more subtle look. So if this was going to be like a Halloween glam night for me, I would wear all black, wear, a bodysuit or something like that, and do this in the harsher black of water activated paint, if you will, because powder is going to be very, very subtle. Now, if you wanted something a little bit different, I think this would be quite striking in white as well. And you could wear all black and do this in white, or wear all white and have the same elements of this design in white or a very subtle powder, and it would be very interesting. So I personally love the black, but it is up to you. If you are new to stenciling, or if you're just not that great at it, use a small dauber instead. Yes, I was being a rebel and using a giant sponge because I'm crazy like that, but by all means, use a dauber. It will be a lot easier for you. For the forehead piece, I'm using BAM Stencil 2027, one of my other favorite stencils. I just love these stencils. They work for absolutely everything and are so versatile. I have to have them close by at all times. So once again, I am loading that up with some pretty rich black. You can see it faded a little bit into my hairline, so I'll correct that and just go over it one more time. But I'm just going to create the centerpiece, and then I'm going to move on to the teeth because I'm not going to do too much up there. For this particular look, we are not really going for realistic teeth. I'm actually going to make these a lot smaller and just focused on the corner of my mouth than if I was trying to do a real skull look or even a sugar skull look where the teeth tend to be larger and more exaggerated. I just want this to be like a little hint of teeth over to the side. So I always say teeth look like corn kernels. And if you smile while you do this and kind of look at your teeth, you'll see they have a very corn-like shape. So you can keep that in mind, but don't get too stuck on the teeth because the point of this particular design is our line work and the drama of it. We don't want the teeth to stand out. So a few teeth in the corner, subtle, and then move on. From where our teeth end, we're going to pull a teardrop shape up and then end in a thin line. And we're going to fill that in to create the hollow jaw. And this being filled in with a nice, deep, rich black is going to give us a very, very dramatic look. This is where I think it starts to get really fun. So I knew I wanted some darker elements and I wanted to pull some kind of creepier lines through. So I'm going to fill in between my teeth because I want that to be pretty rich and dark. And then from there, I'm going to start taking just the very tip of my brush and I'm going to pull lines around that central element to enhance it. I want mainly thin lines, but every now and then I'm going to press down. I'm going to make sure those lines end at different points. And then I'm going to pull the tip of the brush down and around and make a nice little swirl for where the chin would normally be incorporated. And you can do this with as much black or as much skin as you want. So it's up to you to create the balance between the negative space and the color you're using, whatever it may be. It would be really cool in turquoise. I could see this in so many different ways. Turquoise and gold would be amazing. So you can see I'm pulling the very, very tip of my brush starting from a tooth and then I'm pressing it down. I'm using the pointed round number 6 from the face painting shop, which is brilliant, by the way. But if you go ahead and you push your brush down, you're going to get kind of those blobs of paint that are happening underneath the tooth. But this brush also allows for the finest, thinnest line. So I think it's absolute perfection for a design like this. Now just keep assessing where you could add a few more elements. You can see I wanted a little bit more black on the bottom, pull in a little bit more of a thin line. It's all about balance and knowing when to stop and what needs more. Above my teeth needs something. It's not balanced. So I want a combination of some thicker lines and some thinner lines, making sure they're not ending at the same point. Aesthetically, that is not going to do us any good. So you want that end point to be different on all those oversecting lines. So at this point, I'm getting really excited because it's coming together and I think this looks amazing. I want to fill in the nose, but I don't want it to be too overpowering. So I'm flicking my brush up so the bristles kind of separate at the top and it's creating some very, very tiny fine lines. And then I'm going to pull a few of those squiggly little elegant lines up only on the side where the design is. I'm going to leave the other side alone because I want this to be focused on just the one side of my face. So just a few flick those up a little bit. It gives the illusion of being a skull without being overpowering, and nobody wants their nose to have kind of like an ugly feel for Halloween or too much when you're trying to do a glam, sexy, elegant skull. All right, I'm digging this so far. The forehead definitely needs something, and I need to bring it up there as well. So I think what I'm going to do is line my eye so that I have a very dramatic cat eye. And then I'm going to pull a line up and around the socket of my eye, but I'm going to point it downwards first so that I have that Egyptian eye look, and then I'm going to pull the line up from there. So I did that pretty quickly and without thinking too hard about it, which is a lot of times your friend when you're doing designs like this. If you lament too much over a particular line, it just becomes harder to see the vision, and sometimes you just have to go for it. And the nice thing too is where I started that line and then I started to go back over, I just intertwined them, and that's fine because there's so many broken lines within this design. It works to do that. So now I'm going to pull from that thicker part of the line, and I'm just kind of crisscrossing more elements, and then I'm pulling around into swirls. This also helps mimic the swirl I have at the top of the teardrop on the cheek. And again, you can pull as many little fine lines here as you want. You could go a tiny thicker with your brush and just darken up a little bit more so that you have that nice variation of thick to thin and the balance of the negative space versus the design we're creating. I also want some of these elements to have that drippy paint feel, so I'm just pressing my brush down and dragging the tip of this brush. Because this brush has such a fine tip, it is perfect to do this. And this is going to give us a little bit more of that, dark, creepy Halloween look we want, but it's not going to take away from the elegance and drama of this design. It just adds to it. So I'm just going to pull a few of those down, and I'm going to continue to do that on the top of the crown piece as well. Finally, if I was going to wear this look out, I would do a much more dramatic cat eye or even an Egyptian eye, which just means that it's going to go down into the tear duct of the eye, usually pointing downwards towards the center bridge of the nose, and it's just a very dramatic eyeliner look. And when else can you do stuff like that but on Halloween, unless you're a huge diva, which I am not. So if I was gonna go for it, I'd go all out and do something very dramatic. So I'm just gonna do this with face paint. If I was doing this on a client, I would probably do this part with makeup just so that it stays very, very well. But since I'm in my studio, I am just going to do that with my brush here and show you what that would look like. You just want to pull it around the tear duct and make sure you have like a really, really nice point going downwards. And it's just very dramatic. So I am loving this. I think it's super cool, but there is one thing we are missing. I am going to grab some glitter and I am going to use this, if my camera will focus back on me. This is Luna by American Body Art. It's the glitter cream, and it's just a beautiful shimmery silver, and I'm just going to put it in the darkest areas, the hollow of the cheek and the nose, and then on the opposite eye where we don't have the stencil. And you can see how gorgeous this is on camera. It's even more beautiful in person. It's just a gorgeous glitter. And it's just going to take it up to a little bit of that elevated glam that we all love for Halloween, right? Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you love this sexy skull as much as I do. I wish I could say I have this awesome Halloween party to go to this year, but I have no idea if any of them are going to happen. I sure hope they do. I am so excited to be painting again. I've barely painted for 6 months, and Halloween is making me so excited and reinvigorated to paint. If you guys try this look in black, in white, in another color, please tag me in it. I would love, love, love to see what you guys create. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe as always, and I will see you in my next video.